Hi, my name's Margaret B. of Brigham. My friends call me Maggie. The name Brigham is an old English Saxon word meaning brig for bridge and ham for house. My first settler, first Brigham to come to the new land was Thomas in 1634. He was the first relative to be here. All my family since then have been famous politicians, in teaching, in history, and in medicine, and in architecture, and in horticulture. I had a very famous family, and they did a lot of things that were important to the development of the New World. My great-great-grandfather in 1723 came to Grafton. He was one of the first settlers here, and I am the last remaining person. That's why I'm here today to talk about this. He came here in 1727, and he was one of the 40 proprietors that bought land from the Indians. They paid they got 7,500 acres for 2,500 pounds. Also with a promise that they would provide a minister and a school teacher to the Indians. 2 years later, Samuel Brigham was paid 300 pounds to develop a highway through the Brigham lands. Now, the Brigham lands were all rocky, and you know what Brigham Hill looks like. It's covered with trees. It's covered with rocks to this day. So it took a bit to clean it up. When it was all cleaned up, though, it became the county road. And it was the main road in this town. It connected Worcester to Mendon. It was used, all the other paths were like little bridle paths. The county road was the big road in town. So, when it was all cleared, my great-great-grandfather, on the top of the hill right next to the homestead, planted this elm tree. He was into horticulture and things. Planted this tree, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew. And it was there for a long time. It became a landmark in the town. Everybody would measure things from it. They would point distances from it. It was a landmark. And it was a landmark for 150 years. When they had to take the tree down, and I guess it was for elm disease maybe or something like that, when they took it down, it was 18.5 feet in circumference. And there was enough wood on that tree to last my Brigham family 3 years. That county road also had an important, well, I'm sure they had important people go over the road, but one of the ones that I know about was a detachment of Burgoyne's army going to Bennington marched over that road. And my great-grandmother stood by the side of the road and gave out some buttermilk to the guys that were there, headed to Bennington. So it was a moment, a day that people remembered. The homestead was there, and it was used for many, many years. The top of the hill, it was nice. And a lot of our relatives stayed, that generation stayed and generation stayed. And when there was a captain, Charles, who had a big family, and they were living there at the time, and he had 4 daughters. Part of his family was 4 daughters. And he believed in education, strong believer in education. So he sent these girls to Mount St. Holyoke Seminary. They went to school there. It was beyond high school, and they came out being able to teach. So the 4 daughters opened up a school in my homestead, and it was a preparatory school, and it was a girls' preparatory school for only girls to go to Mount Holyoke. Well, it was pretty successful. They had girls coming from Virginia and New York City, New York, and even Pearly Goddard's sister Esther went there. And she went to Mount St. Holyoke, and then she went to Uxbridge to teach. So it was a good thing. It lasted about 6 years. One of the daughters got married, and it kind of fell apart after that. Another thing that homestead did, though, at one time it was a tea house and gift shop, and they made special little cakes called Grafton cakes that my grandmother was very proud of, and they were well sought after. I don't have the recipe, so please don't ask me for it. That's my homestead. Now, I'm getting on in years now. I've talked about my family, and I'm not, like now I'm 79 years old. And I'm the last of my family. I've lost my family, and I've lost, my bones are bad, my eyesight's bad. I came to realize that I needed to sell the homestead. I reluctantly sold it and went to the rest home. Well, but the rest home wasn't bad. I mean, it was okay. The big pleasure I had at that rest home was, the big thing I had at that rest home was the radio. I love the radio, and I love the sports, and I love the Red Sox, and Jimmy Pearsall and Ted Williams had guts. I loved them. And so that was my enjoyment. And was listening to the radio one day, and they're advertising that the community chest is having a slogan contest. So I thought up one, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. I submitted it, and I was one of over 100 submitted it, and I won. I was so surprised. Anyway, I won. So they came and took my picture, and they did everything they could. It was just a big treat for me. But the prize was an electric radio with a huge luminous dial that I could see even with my bad eyesight at night. So it was a true gift. But not a prize, but probably not the only prize I ever valued. This lady right here, I bred dogs when I was younger. And this lady here, her name is Champion Dear Madam. And she won the Best of Breed show in New York City. She's a Scottish Terrier, and she's a love. So I bred dogs, and I introduced this breed, or helped introduce this breed into the United States. I also was the first woman in Grafton to run for public office. I ran for selectman. I got beat, but I did run. And the other thing that I got involved in a lot was gardening and make flowers and fruits and things, and I was recognized for what I grew, but I was also asked to judge shows and stuff. So I did that. So when I look at my life and my family, and I look back on the Brigham name and what we did and what they did, I'm very proud of it. And I'm very proud of the fact that I am a Brigham and that I lived in the homestead on Brigham Hill Road in Grafton, Massachusetts. Thank you very much.